The next award is the Young Alumni Achievement Award, and it has been awarded annually since 2000. It honors someone who has distinguished himself or herself in his or her chosen profession during the first 15 years following graduation from Juniata. The recipient of the 2011 Young Alumni Achievement Award is Kunio Sayanagi, class of 2000. Norm Seams, Juniatacollege Professor of Physics, will present the award. Norm and Kunio, could you please come forward?
I'm delighted to have this opportunity to present this prestigious and well-deserved award to Kunio Sayanagi. After completing his early schooling, that is elementary school and junior high and senior high in Sapporo, Japan, Kunio came to Juniata College in the summer of 1996 to study English as a second language. That fall, he took a couple courses in his favorite areas. He took astronomy and introduction to computer science while continuing with ESL. But by spring semester was a full-time degree program student here at Juniata. As his POE advisor, I was always amazed at his conscientiousness and his thoroughness and his determination. If a course of particular interest to Kunio was not being offered regularly or at all, he would attempt to take an independent study, and did so in the case of astrophotography, and in chaos and fractals, and in academic writing. Additionally, he conducted self-motivated research in radio astronomy, building and testing much of the equipment at Juniata's first and only radio telescope. He was also chosen to participate in a competitive summer research program at Baylor University. As a physics and math major and computer programming minor, Kunio served as a MATLAB administrative assistant, Windows computer lab assistant, a physics tutor, and was the astronomy lab assistant and director of our student director of our observatory. Kunio's mischievous side was sometimes in evidence, and his sense of humor frequently revealed itself. Get him to tell you sometime about the Kunio diffraction pattern that we found drawn in chalk along the entire hallway of the P-Wing one morning when we came to the store. Kunio has a strong interest in cutting-edge research and a passion for science communication. He enjoys conveying the excitement of science and science discovery to the general public, often through public presentations at planetariums and museums. The citation for the 2011 Young Alumni Achievement Award reads as follows. Whereas Kunio M. Sayanagi, a member of the class of 2000, has distinguished himself in his profession. And whereas after graduating with a Bachelor of Science degree in Physics and Mathematics from Juniata, he earned a Master of Science degree and Doctorate in Physics from the University of Arizona. And whereas he realized his excitement in astronomical sciences, particularly astrophotography, while working as the student director of the Paul E. Hikas Observatory at Juniata. And whereas he manifested his interest in astronomy by building a radio telescope behind Juniata's Brumball Academic Center. And whereas he was awarded a National Science Foundation undergraduate research fellowship at Baylor University's Center for Astrophysics, Space Physics, and Engineering Research in the summer of 1999. And whereas he held postdoctoral fellowships at both the University of Louisville and the California Institute of Technology, where he was the executive chair of the Postdoctoral Association. And whereas he is now employed as a postdoctoral fellow at the University of California, Los Angeles, focusing on atmospheric jet streams and turbulence on Jupiter and Saturn. And whereas he also sits on the executive board of the UCLA Society of Postdoctoral Scholars, and maintains a side career as a freelance science writer for Ars Technica. And whereas he now serves on the National Academy of Science Decadal Survey, an international panel, as the youngest scientist who will make recommendations of what NASA should study in the coming decade from 2013 to 2022. Now, therefore, be it resolved that this award is presented to him in recognition of his career achievements and for representing the ideals of the Juniata community by striving for excellence in all of his endeavors. It is both an honor and a privilege to present Kunio M. Sayanagi with this citation of achievement by direction of the Alumni Council.
Thank you very much, Dr. Seams. Well, I wanted to talk about many beginnings I've gone through that got me to this point. One of the beginnings happened almost exactly 15 years ago. That was July 9th, 1996. I arrived Juniata as an English as a second language student from Sapporo, Japan, as Dr. Seams mentioned, and landed at State College Airport alone. I still remember that day very clearly. Karen Heltz, my new ESL teacher, made sure who I was at the airport before getting me onto her white Toyota Camry. I think that was model year 93. I don't think we talked much in the car. First, I didn't speak much English to start with, and I was very dazed after 3 long flights, 30 hours total from Sapporo. When Karen and I arrived at Juniata, Sherry Kramer, who's here with us today, checked me in at the international office. I picked up my first set of beddings, and met my first roommate. Karen took me to KFC that night for dinner, where I barely managed to place an order. That was the beginning of many, many things. That was then, 15 years ago, when I was 18. Now I am 33, 3 degrees later, and many heartbeats. That got me here. I have the job I've always dreamed of. I make my living studying other planets. I am often the first person to look at images that are sent back from orbit around Saturn and figure out how the clouds are moving and winds are blowing. I've even had the privilege to serve on the National Academy panel to make recommendations for the next 10 years of NASA. I've come a long way. Let's go back 25 years to year 1986. That was another beginning. It started when NASA's Voyager 2 probe flew by planet Uranus. I heard about it on the news and bombarded my parents, who's here with us today too. I bombarded my parents with every question that came to my mind. At the end, my parents handed me the day's newspaper to me, an 8-year-old, and told me, "It's all in here. Read it yourself." To be sure, being true educators, my parents didn't just throw the newspaper at me. They showed me how to keep a scrapbook where I pasted all the articles I found interesting. The title of the first article entry was "Clouds on Uranus." I am actually on the proposal team to send the next mission to Uranus right now. Starting with my parents, I've always had wonderful mentors to guide me. At Juniata, I first learned English from Karen and Bill Heltz, without whose help I simply would not be where I am today. Dr. Seams gave me the key to Juniata's observatory when I was a freshman. I took a full advantage of it to play with the big telescope for the rest of 4 years, often on my free time, often taking up my dates up there. That was again. So that's how I spent my 4 years at Juniata. Dr. White taught me the joy of experiments. Thank you very much for not kicking me out of your class when I blew the fuse of that $4,000 brand new multimeter. And then, I'm not done yet. I wrapped that fuse in aluminum foil and then put it back into the multimeter so that I could keep my experiments running. There are only 3 people in this world who yell at me, "Never ever do that again." That's my parents and Dr. White. I'm glad that 3 of you are finally in the same room. You guys are all Dr. Borgart, are you here today? No. Okay, well, somewhere else. Dr. Borgart is still my model physics teacher. He knows how to keep expectations crystal clear to his students. And he even knew how to keep me sleeping in his class. I was going to let him tell that story, but since he's not here, I'm going to do it. So on Friday electromagnetic class that year, when I was a senior, we had crazy Fridays where we played tricks on the professor. One of those days we brought in, we had one long couch, one reclining chair, and an inner tube on a classroom table. That's where 3 of us took class. I fell asleep in the inner tube. So what Dr. Borgart did was he took the class out, kept it quiet, left me sleeping in there for the next period. Okay. I woke up in the next class. I also would like to thank Dr. Katz, Dr. Nagengas, and Betty Ann Cherry for all the writing classes I took from you guys. And of course, Betty Ann, you found me in Japan in 1993. Thank you very much for bringing me here. Juniata allowed me to fully explore who I was, and this is where I decided who I wanted to become in my life. Lastly, I am very grateful that someone noticed at all what I have done to give me this award today. I find it very humbling that while there are selfless doctors, peace activists, educators, and others working to directly serve the humanity, I am nominated for this award for things I'm doing for fun. I can't believe I'm getting paid to do what I do. I do hope that my work will trickle down to benefit the society as a whole someday, but it will not be for at least several decades, and it's going to be in very indirect ways. I know there are many others who have done greater service to the society in more direct ways, who are more deserving of this award. I'm truly humbled that I'm receiving this award today. Thank you.